Show, Kay Kaufman, Harrodsburg, Kentucky. Our first class, as we open up our programs, Market Show. This will be Class 901, Sovereign Prospect Heifers, born in 2019. It's a single entry. This is Class 901, the entry 4292. Once again, as we kick things off here, our first class of the Market Show. This is a single entry Class 901. Also, your Sovereign Heifer Division Championship. Champion banner is sponsored by Highland Acres.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly privileged to be here at the National Western to evaluate your junior and your sovereign shows tonight. To start off with a really nice heifer. I appreciate her lines, her elegance. You analyze her from her shoulder forward. I really appreciate that about her. You put her in motion. She handles her top relatively well in the move. We'd like to give her a little bit more base width going away from her, but you get this one on the standstill, and she's certainly really nice about her lines, and she's really acceptable in her angles.
Result of Class 901 Sovereign Prospect Heifers and your Sovereign Heifer Division Championship with the banner sponsored by Highland Acres. First place in champion 4292, RTH Holland. That would be Rockin' T Highlands, Ohio, Nebraska. Up next, we move to Class 903, two entries in the Purebred Prospect Steers, born in 2019. This is also your Purebred Prospect Steer Division Championship. Champion banner sponsored by Rockhouse Run Farm. Reserve champion banner sponsored by Cobblestone Farms. Once again, this is Class 903, Purebred Prospect Steers, born in 2019. Our judge, once again from Harrodsburg, Kentucky, Kay Kaufman.
two steers that are fairly comparable in terms of overall qualities to start our prospect show. I'm going to start with this smoke steer to win. Young man, go ahead and lead your steer out. You view the steer from stifle to stifle. He certainly has more dimension. He carries more thickness out from his hooks to his pins. Is a really long-sided steer, and I appreciate him from that. Both of these individuals are more than adequate in terms of their structural integrity. You put them in motion, they both cover their track and get out with a fair amount of athleticism. The calf that comes out next, a steer that I appreciate, he may be more level from hooks to pins. I think he falls short of the overall stoutness found in our class winner, just when you view him from the ground up in terms of muscular shape and dimension. Two nice steers to start our prospect steer show.
Here's the results on Class 903 and your Purebred Prospect Steer Division Championship. First place in champion 4294, Clearwater's Milton. Clearwater Spring Highlands, Brighton, Colorado. And the champion gets a banner sponsored by Rockhouse Run Farm. Second in reserve, 4295, Clearwater's Kip. Clearwater Spring Highlands, Brighton, Colorado. And the reserve champion banner sponsored by Cobblestone Farms. Up next, we move to Class 904. Crossbred Prospect Steers, 50% Highland or more, born in 2019. Single entry, and also your division championship. Champion banner sponsored by Howling Springs Farm.
A nice single entry out here in the Highland steer show. A calf that you read him down his top is certainly adequate in terms of his thickness. When you study him out of his shoulder back to his hip, I particularly appreciate him when you analyze him from hooks to pins. He carries that dimension all the way back through his pin set. He's a calf that's adequate in terms of the amount of foot and bone that he strides out on. Where I'd like to change him, though, is when you put him in motion, he gets a little bit underneath himself, particularly off of his hind legs. I'd just like to see him plant those a little bit squarer and truer at the ground.
Thank you, Kate. Here are the results on Class 904, Crossbred Prospect Steers, 50% Highland or more, born in 2019. First place 4296, and your champion prospect steer. There's a banner sponsored by Howling Spring Farms. That's BDR Hank, Big Dreams Ranch, Yakima, Washington. Up next, we have Class 905 Purebred Feeder Steers, born December 31st, 2018 or prior. I think we have 4 entries. This will also be your Purebred Feeder Steer Division Championship. The champion will receive a banner sponsored by Sea Wind Meadows, LLC. The reserve champion gets a banner sponsored by Martson Farm. Once again, this is 905 Purebred Feeder Steers, born December 31st, 2018 or prior. Our judge, once again, Kate Kaufman from Harrodsburg, Kentucky, a graduate of Colorado State University. Currently works in animal health sector and veterinary software industry, as well as owning Agra Exposure LLC, a full-service promotions company with her husband Jeff and daughters Julia and Anna. Our judge, Kate Kaufman, Harrodsburg, Kentucky.
I think we have a logical place to start with a combination steer out here in this class. He's a growth-oriented individual, but at the same time, when you analyze him in terms of finish, I think he's right on track for where that he needs to be. He's the stoutest made steer out here. You study him from the ground up in terms of his foot shape and size, the amount of bone that he steps out and tracks out off of, and then when you view him from hooks to pins and through his stifle, he certainly has the class advantage in terms of muscle. Actually, our second place is going to be the dark red steer down here. Young lady. I want you to put your hands together. She's had her hands full with this individual out here at night. I presume we may run into a little bit of that just on the time of day that we're dealing with. These cattle are ready to go out, they're ready to eat, all that good stuff. So young lady, congratulations, you've done a nice job. This is a more moderate frame steer that I presume is going to be easier fleshing and easier finishing for this young lady. He is certainly adequate in terms of his overall dimension of muscle, just falls short of the stoutness found in our class-winning steer to lead out with. Here we got the really long patterned steer who's the freshest in his appearance, but come with that, he's the furthest from his ideal endpoint compared to the other two. To me, he's the long-fronted steer, but when you really view him in terms of his muscle, he doesn't carry that dimension as far down into his quarter as I would like. He just isn't as stoutly as constructed as the two that lead out ahead of him.
His results on Class 905 purebred feeder steers born December 31st, 2018 or prior. First place and your champion purebred feeder steer gets a banner sponsored by Sea Wind Meadows LLC, $42.99. CRR Cool Custom Chrome, Colored Rain Ranches, and as the breeder, the owner Blue Ridge Mountain Farm, Colorado Springs, Colorado. Second in reserve, $42.98, KRM Cowboy Cadillac. Breeder, Emily Clark. Owner, Angel Mountain Ranch. Third in the class, 4,300. Your reserve gets a banner sponsored by Martson Farm. Third in the class, 4,300. UCR Aspen Extreme. Breeder, Urban Cowgirl Ranch. The owner, Angel Mountain Ranch, Salida, Colorado. In the ring, a single entry, Class 906 crossbred feeder steers, 50% Highland or more, born December 31st, 2018 or prior. This is also your crossbred feeder steer division championship.
We've got a calf out here that certainly excels in terms of show ring appeal. I appreciate how high and tight his neck comes at the top of his shoulder. He certainly leveled down his top. You view him in terms of muscle, and he's working adequate shape through his forearm. You view him from hooks to pins, and he carries that muscle out nicely when you get him behind him. I'd like to change him, maybe soften him up through the center third of his body. You get him on the move, I'd like to drop him in terms of how he lands that pass turn on the move, just give him some more flexibility from that standpoint. But a really nice, attractive steer, particularly when you get him out here on the profile.
Here's a result on Class 906 crossbred feeder steers, 50% Highland or more, born December 31st, 2018 or prior. First place and your champion feeder steer, which gets a banner, sponsored by Run Amuck Ranches, 4301 PC Fediwap. That is owner and breeder Pell Creek Cattle Company. Up next, we move to the purebred market steer division, a single class within this division, Class 907, purebred market steers, born July 1st, 2017 or later. 2 entries in this class and the division. Champion gets a banner sponsored by Mid-Atlantic Highland Association. The reserve champion gets a banner sponsored by Wood River Highland Farm. Our judge once again, Kate Kaufman from Harrodsburg, Kentucky. For those of you that are joining us here, either online or in the Stadium Arena, don't forget tomorrow morning we start at 8 a.m. with the National Highland Show. We've got quite a bit of show left this evening, but just want to remind you about tomorrow morning. If you haven't ever seen the bagpipes lead off our Highland Show, that happens tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So be here at 8 for that. That's right, there'll be bagpipes here in person. And then also at 8 tomorrow morning, we have the Miniature Hereford World Show. That's coming up tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock sharp, right here in the Stadium Arena. Also want to take a moment to thank our Stadium Arena sponsors. They include Big Bubba's. If you got that urge for some great food while you're here at the National Western, don't forget the South Food Court. They've got some mouth-watering ribs at Big Bubba's Bad Barbecue and everything garlic at Garlicki's. And juicy hamburgers with all the fixings at Good Old Burger. Great service and great food thanks to Big Bubba's. Also, the Colorado Farm Show is proud to support the National Western, and they invite you to attend the 56th Colorado Farm Show coming up next week, January 28th, 29th, and 30th at Island Grove Regional Park in Greeley. If you eat it, drink it, or wear it, agriculture produced it. That's the theme. Over 300 vendors and tons of educational breakout sessions. And next Tuesday, January 28th, it's Beef Day. If you want to check out more information and see a complete schedule and view the online brochure, visit coloradofarmshow.com. Also want to thank John Deere, the official agriculture and turf equipment provider of the National Western. Visit your local John Deere dealer for great deals now. And remember, nothing runs like a Deere. And new this year is Saunders Construction, sponsor of the State Arena shows. They were locally founded in 1972 and now one of the largest and most stable construction companies in the state. Saunders offers well-paid positions with opportunities for career growth. When you're looking for your next job and your next career, think Saunders. Go to www.saundersinc.com for complete information. Once again, thanks to the Colorado Farm Show, Big Bubba's, John Deere, and Saunders Construction, our Stadium Arena sponsors.
I'm going to go ahead and explain what was just explained to me. Apparently, there's a mix of purebreds and crossbreds out here. So when I talk to first, that's why we're doing it that way. Gentlemen, if you could lead out your steer right here. To me, if we were to evaluate all four of them, this one certainly comes to the top very easily. In terms of good build, this one excels. In terms of true muscular shape, he excels. In terms of balance, he excels. You put this one in motion, and I particularly appreciate him. I love the angle to his shoulder. I love the angle to his knee. I think he's very, very neat in his design. Probably my favorite that we've seen all day in terms of his skeletal angles. The steer that comes out second, this is the steer that's going to be your champion crossbred steer. Yeah, he's pushing the upper limits in terms of weight. In frame size, for me, I prefer a more moderate calf. But in terms of muscle, he certainly excels. Has a tremendous amount of shape working down his top. You get in behind him, and there's no doubt that there's a ton of product in that individual. Closest decision all day is between this black and this white steer. We're going to go ahead and lead out with this black steer in terms of true shape and muscle. A calf that is a little bit longer in terms of his pattern and design. I think he's truer in terms of his muscular shape. When you view him, I think he's got a little bit more grow left in him. This white steer that comes out, he's certainly the moderate framed calf in the class. I would presume he's the easiest in terms of keeping. Young lady, you can go ahead and lead your steer out. This calf's neat in terms of his levelness down his top. I'd like to change him in his pin set a little bit, particularly when you put him out in motion.
Catch up on results here. I can tell you, first of all, coming in the ring next will be the junior show, the start of the junior show, Class 782 heifer calves. Here's the results going back to Class 907, purebred market steers born July 1st, 17 or later. First place and your champion purebred market steer with a banner sponsored by Mid-Atlantic Highland Association. That is 4302. Silva's Washington. The breeder, Silva's Highlands, and owner as well from LaSalle, Colorado. Second in the class and reserve champion gets a banner sponsored by Wood River Highland Farm, 4303, DIV Iceman. The breeder, Martha Lange. The owner, Colored Rain Ranches of Rockville, Colorado. Third in the class is actually the 4297 that was on the other page at the bottom. That one moved to this class. 4297 is third, CRR Stetson Rebel. Colored Rain Ranches, Rory Baxter, Brighton, Colorado. Class 908, that crossbred market steer, 50% Highland or more. First place in the class and your champion crossbred market steer gets a banner sponsored by Highland Meadows Cattle Company, Silva's Charlie. That is Silva's Highland, the breeder, Silva's Highland, the owner, from LaSalle, Colorado. As I mentioned, as they get ready to bring in the next group, it'll be junior show, Class 782 heifer calves. We have 3 entries in the program at the top of the page there. Class 782. And just a quick look ahead at what we've got in front of us. We've got these 5 classes of junior show classes. Then we'll have a junior breeding heifer division championship. Then we'll go into junior showmanship, intermediate showmanship, then senior showmanship. Then we have supreme showmanship. Then we've got the group classes this evening that'll round out our show. Then tomorrow morning at 8, we start with the open show. So that'll give you an idea as you look ahead. We await our next class to kick off the junior show. Class 782 heifer calves will be coming in the ring. Judge once again, Kay Kaufman from Harrodsburg, Kentucky, a graduate of Colorado State University. She grew up on a registered Hereford cattle and purebred sheep in central Maine. She was active in 4-H and junior organizations prior to going to CSU, where she was a member of the wool, dairy, livestock, and even the meat animal evaluation teams. Kate currently works in the animal health sector in the veterinary software industry, as well as owning Agra Exposure LLC. That's a full-service promotions company with her husband Jeff and daughters Julia and Anna. Our judge once again, Kate Kaufman from Harrodsburg, Kentucky, as we weigh our first class in the junior show, Class 782.
We've got an interesting class to start off the female show today. I think we got a really nice one to start with. This Young lady, go ahead and lead out your dark red heifer. This is a complete heifer in the class. She ties together eye appeal, she ties together stoutness, and she ties together a lot of volume and deep depth through a rib. Young lady, go ahead and lead out your heifer there. You analyze this heifer, she balances really nicely from head to toe. The female that when you put her in motion, I certainly love her athleticism. I love the reach off of both ends of her skeleton. That's a nice one to start off her show today. We have two heifers out here. One's a July and one's a May in our second and third holes. The young lady with the July heifer is going to lead out next. This heifer I project down the road is probably going to be one that's a little bit earlier maturing, one that's going to be a little bit easier to feed, where she has an advantage over the heifer in third. I appreciate this female from the ground up. She's stouter constructed, she's bigger bellied, she's looks like a female that is really going to go on and be a nice brood cow for this young lady. The heifer that comes out next, there's no doubt, she's the long and extended female out here. She's a female I just like to stouten up. She gets a little bit more frail and refined. I'd like to particularly drop her in that rear flank, but in terms of length of spine and length through that front end, she has an advantage in this class.
Up next will be Class 783 heifer calves born January 1st through April 30th, 2019. Here's results on that last Class 782 heifer calves. First place, 1,001. HS Hello Lassie. That would be the breeder, Highland Spice, owner, Cameron Carden, Sheridan, Wyoming. Second place, 1,002, CRR Miss Congeniality. Covered Rain Ranches is the breeder, the owner, Ava Marie Mellinger from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Third place, 1,000, Oak Grove Norma Jean. Oak Grove Farm, the breeder, the owner, Alexis Washburn, Elmira, New York. As I mentioned in the ring, next Class 783, heifer calves, these are born January 1st through April 30th, 2019. 4 entries. Just a quick reminder, don't forget the official livestock photographer for the National Western is Show Champions. Check out the pictures taken in the ring and in the backdrop, and purchase pictures online at showchampions.com.
Got a really nice duo of heifers to lead off this class. I prefer this heifer that starts off the class for how much smoother she is about her shoulder. She has a maternal shoulder to her, and by that, she lays in flat about her shoulder. Her neck comes out of the top of her shoulder. She may give up some dimension to her heifer in second place, but I like this one in terms of her elegance, in terms of her depth of her body. I prefer this female when you get her out in motion as well. The heifer that comes out second, she's got a lot of muscle in her. You view her down her top, and she certainly excels in terms of natural top shape compared to the heifer that leads out ahead of her. But she's a little bit bolder in terms of how she's put together through her shoulder. She's deceiving when she goes away from you. You expect her to be a lot wider based in tracking than she is. But those are two really, really nice heifers. I look forward to getting back out here for the next division. There's some give and takes in the third and fourth place heifers. I would like to be somewhat predictable throughout the day, and that means we're consistent. I prefer the additional mass and volume found in the third place heifer over our fourth place heifer. I also prefer this heifer from her pastern to the ground. The heifer that comes out next certainly is more elegant, is more ladylike through her front 1/3. She tends to get a little bit higher on her flank, but what I'd like to change her is in her rear leg. You put her out in motion, I want her to relax in that pastern, just give you a little bit more reach as she gets out on the move.
Thank you, Kate. Here are the results on Class 783 heifer calves born January 1st through April 30th, 2019. First place, 1003, Windermere Hazel. That is Paige Proctor, Junction City, Wisconsin, the breeder, Star Lake Kennel Company. Second, 1004, Trinity's Alita. That would be Rindley Silva, Greeley, Colorado, the breeder, LEA White Farms. Third place in the class, 1006, CRR, Areas Deja Vu. Taylor Martin, Guffey, Colorado, breeder, Colored Rain Ranches. Fourth, 1005, CZH Amber, Brandon Volstead, Burlington, Wisconsin, breeder, Cheesehead Highlands. Program placings are 3, 4, 2, 1. Up next, we have Class 784, 2 entries. The scratch in the class was 1008. 2 entries coming in next. 784, junior yearling heifers born July 1st through December 31st, 2018.
set of cattle, you can do a variety of different things. I tend to like fault-free things, and the cattle that you can find the least wrong in are going to be the cattle that are going to survive and make the way to the backdrop at the end of the day. The female that leads out here, I love how high and neat she comes out of the top of her shoulder.
I like how she handles her spine when you put her in motion, where she has an advantage over the striking that.
Second is in terms of how she handles her pastern and how her hood.
All three heifers, she's not the deepest, she's not the thickest, but she certainly is the most complete.
Heifer first walked in the ring and I fell in love with her. I'm not going to lie, young man, you have a really high quality individual here. I just can't get past.
Handles her highlight when you put her in motion, particularly her left rear. Just wanted her to see her handle that was more authority. When she goes away from her, I really want her to see her hit the ground before base whip. But this is one that's true in her top shape. She has a lot of expansion through the center portion of her body. A really high quality individual I appreciate tremendously, and I look forward to seeing out here in division. Coming out next is a female I think has an advantage in the class, probably in terms of weight per day of age. She certainly performed. Female that can just get out and go. I want to see her a little bit more athletic. I'd like to see her balance up, like the two heifers ahead of her, taking nothing away from really a foundation type female. The heifer that comes in fourth, if you want a moderate frame to heavy muscle one, that's going to be particularly easy keeping, yet still give you some look. This is a nice heifer to tie to. Heifer's got a lot of shape. When you go from all angles, maybe just doesn't have that striking appearance of the three heifers that come out next. That comes out in fourth. Female that when you first look at her, just how she's presented, maybe doesn't look as like she has as much volume, has as much bone, but when you really analyze this female for what she is, she's really level top. She's really neat in the angle to her shoulder. I think this is a female that even though she doesn't have that solid look through the middle portion of her body, certainly has enough expansion to her rib. After that comes out,
I think is just a really solid fundamental.
I'd like to let her up the pins. Just give her a nice profile. The female that comes out next, she's a moderate frame heifer. She's level down her top, just gives up the performance. I'd like to see her come a little bit closer to her track when you get her in motion comparatively. Female that rounds out the pass, never going to place the last, just on frame size alone. But today she just gives up too much power and weight and age to compete to the heifers against her. Heifer, though, in her own right, is certainly acceptable in her build and her skeletal design.
He said first year that we know.
86, we have 3 entries before our next division championship. Class 785 yearling heifers, born January 1st through June 30th, 2018. Here's the results. First place, 10-12. FSH courtesy. That would be 4-star Highlands, the breeder, the owner, Riley McCall, Valentin, Minnesota. Second is 10-13, Latera Breed. Latera is the breeder. The owner is Thomas Riley III, Elverson, Pennsylvania. Third, 10-11, CZH Goose. That's that futurity animal. Lindsay Mildred, Bellingham, Washington, breeder, Cheesehead, Highlands. Fourth, 10-17, CBS You'll See. Breeder, Comstone Farms, the owner, Avery Bailey, Alaska, Wisconsin. In fifth place is 10-14, SFF Rhythm. And we Spring Flight Farm LLC is the breeder, the owner, Alexis Washburn in Weimar, New York. Sixth, 10-16, STR Red Velvet, Starlight Cattle Company, the breeder, the owner, Cameron Carden, Sheridan, Wyoming. Seventh, 10-10, EH Lindeland, the breeder, Elm Hollow Farm, the owner, Caitlin Edwards, Hartman, Arkansas. Program, got one more. Eighth place, 10-15, STR Charlotte. The owner is Sam Lamb, Van Wyoming, the breeder, Starlight Cattle Company. Program Awarding placings for 785, that large class, 4, 6, 8, 5, 2, 1, 3, 7. Judge once again from Harrisburg, Kentucky, Kate Kaufman. In the ring class 786, senior heifers, just in front of our junior breeding heifer division championship.
They've got a really powerful female. According to her young showman, a heifer of condition. I think that's what's helping her in terms of her base width. She's getting a little bit outside of her skeleton, but at the same time, she's not having the challenges of some of the other cattle in the breed. Really tend to get a little bit narrow when they're going away from you. This heifer has a distinct advantage in terms of her levelness and design, particularly from her hooks to her pins, compared to the heifer that comes out in second. I'd like to see this heifer a little bit fresher in terms of her appearance, but in terms of her outline,
where her angles are, where they lay. Really appreciate a lot of things about this heifer. I think there's a lot of good in her. Yes, the heifer that comes out second.
that certainly is a longer front end, cleaner appearance, or fresher appearing female, gives you that more youthful look, but at the same time she gives up a lot of power compared to the heifer that leads out ahead of her. I'd simply just like to make her leveler from hooks to pins to make her more competitive in this duo.
So there's a chance we can have an addition to the classes tomorrow, 0 to 6, if she camps out. There we go. Here's the results of class 786 senior heifers. First place, 1018, Windermere Firefly. Breeding Windermere Farm, owner Paige Proctor, Junction City, Wisconsin.
Oh, really?
Second is bring back in our first and seconds from all 5 classes. Oh, excuse me. We have a single entry. I'm sorry. This is 1020. 1020 is class 787. This is our last class in front of the division. My apologies. Single entry, 787. Senior heifers born. And then after this will be our junior breeding heifer. My apologies. We have 6 classes, not 5.
Discuss her further when she gets out here in division, but in terms of quality, she's certainly the type we've been looking for all day. She ties together really neat front end. She's level in terms of design. She's got a ton of volume from any angle that you view her out. You put her in motion. I love how she handles her reach off of her front end. She's got an adequate set to her hind leg. This will be a neat one to see out here in the next round.
Result on class 787, first place 1020, LEA Noel. LEA White Farms, Easton Silva is the owner, Greeley, Colorado. Now we'll have our division championship junior breeding heifers. This will be the first and seconds from the 6 classes, 782, 83, 84, 85, 86, and that last class 87. Junior breeding heifer division championship. The grand champion will receive a traveling trophy sponsored by Greg and Linda Markwill. And our champion reserve will receive awards that are sponsored by Al.B. Cattle Company, Cobblestone Farms, Dan Utter, Heather Valley Cattle Company, and Husker Show Cattle, as well as Pell Creek Cattle Company, Trinity Farms Limited, and Sea Wind Meadows LLC. By the way, our champion reserve champion junior breeding heifers and champion and reserve will also be receiving awards. Those awards are sponsored by Star Lake Cattle Company, the premiums that is. Each of our division champions get $100 and reserves get $50. So division championship coming in, junior breeding heifers with our judge Kay Kaufman from Harrodsburg, Kentucky. She's a graduate of Colorado State University. Grew up on a registered Hereford cattle and purebred sheep operation in central Maine. She was active in 4-H and junior organizations prior to going to CSU. While there, she was a member of the wool, dairy, livestock, and even the meat animal evaluation teams. She had no time when she was in college. Currently, Kay works in the animal health sector in the veterinary software industry. She owns Agra Exposure LLC. That's a full-service promotions company with her husband Jeff and her 2 daughters, Julia and Anna. Our judge for this Junior Breeding Heifer Division Championship, Kay Kaufman from Harrodsburg, Kentucky. Once again, the grand champion gets a traveling trophy sponsored by Greg and Linda Markwell. And just to look ahead at what's left here, we've got showmanship coming up after this selection. We'll have junior showmanship, intermediate showmanship, seniors, then a supreme showmanship drive. All the champions come in and compete against each other. Then we've got the group classes that round out our show tonight. And then tomorrow morning, once again, we start at 8 a.m. with the open show and bagpipes. So if you want to come see the bagpipes and the Highland show, you need to come tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock sharp.
If everybody ringside could certainly put their hands together and give this group of exhibitors a big round of applause, I think it's well deserved. This is a really intriguing lineup to me. I think there's cattle out here that you can really tie to. You can build programs around. You can make the next generation of show heifers and steers for these young exhibitors. I would certainly be very, very proud if I was on the other end of the halter out here in this lineup. I would really like to thank the association for having me out here to evaluate these cattle. My kids grew up showing a rare breed. They They showed Belted Galloways. They showed Limousines and Angus. I know it's not always easy. There's times when you're at your county level, your state level, and you get thrown in that AOB ring. You just got to do the best that you can do. I have a feeling that these cattle, if you get a judge who respects your breed and respects the industry, will give them a second look, and they deserve a second look. Don't ever get frustrated as young exhibitors if you're having to run into those cattle show after show. If you get under the right person, you're going to get the results that you deserve. With that being said, we're going to run through these cattle really quick. I talked about them in class. I hope you've been able to follow me ringside and see the type of cattle that I like. This young heifer that starts off, she ran into a tremendous lineup behind her. I think she has an exceptional future. She won that class fairly easily. She was the combination heifer that tied together some growth and some performance and some mass at this time of the game. Heifer that's in that next class, a female for me, I think is very growth-oriented for the age that she is out here. Has a ton of volume and middle for just being a spring baby out here. Just a female that I'd like to make a little bit cleaner and a little bit more extended through her front end. She's getting a little bit throaty there, but that's a really good one as well. This dark red roan heifer, she's intriguing to me. She comes to you fit in a way where you can really analyze the amount of muscle that she has. She's super big top. She's really neat hipped. She's long and thick out of her hip. She has a natural swoop to her rib. I think this is a female that, when mated accordingly, can produce some really, really good ones for you, young lady. The heifer out of the next class, she's probably the prettiest one we've seen all day today. She's particularly long from her shoulder up to her nose. She lays in nice and flat about her shoulder. She's really level down her top. Maybe doesn't have the mass and the substance, particularly through the center portion of her body, as some of the other females out here. This is one I like at the ground really well. Heifer that comes out of the next division, you want to talk about a powerhouse. If you study her from any angle, she gives you a ton of skeletal dimension. Yes, we talked about it. She's probably pushing the envelope in terms of condition at this stage of the game. I think that's making her a little bit restricted when you get her out and ask her to go. But in terms of moderation of frame, in terms of levelness of design, this one is pretty neat. If we get down here to the end, this is a female that I really like. She came out here, she pushed all the buttons. She's one that's really long-sided, and to get one that's that long-sided, still looking deep and looking like she's got a lot of volume isn't an easy task. I think as an industry, we tend to tie to those that are a little bit shorter-sided because we can make them look deeper. I don't believe in that. There's a lot of weight, there's a lot of product that we lose when we get those cattle that short-sided. Look at this female. I love how she's designed through her knee. I love how she's nice and flat about her shoulder. I love hips. I love cattle that are level and long and thick from hooks to pins. She's fits that bill for me. And at the same time, she's the second most feminine heifer out here with all that power to go behind it. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pick your champion and your reserve champion heifers. After I pick your champion, you'll have a moment. We'll bring in your reserve, and then we'll go ahead and select your reserve. Once again, congratulations. Young people, you have a lot to be proud of.
Your champion and your grand champion traveling trophy, sponsored by Greg and Linda Markwell, goes to 1020 LEA Noel. That is LEA White Farms, the breeder, the owner, Easton Silva, Greeley, Colorado. There was no second. 1007 is your reserve champion. That comes out of class 784, the junior yearling heifers. That is Laterra Belafonte. The breeder, Laterra. The owner, Ashlyn Rosia Morelli, Elverson, Pennsylvania. Congratulations to all of our competitors in the junior show and your champion in reserve. You bet. Give them a round of applause, folks. You bet. Now we'll move to showmanship. Junior showmanship. As soon as they get set. Oh, pictures. You're right. My bad. We got a picture break. Thank you, Kay. So we got a picture break, and then we'll do showmanship. My apologies. So in the meantime, for those of you that may not be here tomorrow, we'll give you a little sample of what you might hear while we're waiting for our class to start. Little bagpipe music for you, fitting for the Scottish Highland. So we are ready to resume. Our judge once again, Kay Kaufman from Harrodsburg, Kentucky, graduate of CSU. That's in Fort Collins. Kay currently works in the animal health sector in the veterinary software industry, as well as owning Agri-Exposure LLC, a full-service promotions company with her husband Jeff and daughters Julia and Anna. Kay Kaufman, Harrodsburg, Kentucky. As we resume here, this will be Class 788 Junior Showmanship. We'll pick a champion in reserve. Once again, our junior award sponsored by LB Cattle Company, Cobblestone Farms, Dan Utter, Heather Valley Cattle Company, Husker Show Cattle, Pell Creek Cattle Company, Trinity Farms Limited, Sea Wind Meadows LLC. Champion Reserve Showmanship gets awards sponsored by those folks. So this is junior showmanship. These are exhibitors 9 to 12 years of age. And then after this, we'll have our intermediate division.
I do not envy these children or their parents for them having to be out here at this time of night to do showmanship. This is tough. These cattle want to do two things. They want to eat, they want to go to bed. And I presume the kids are in the same boat. I have children that range from 13 to 25. I've been there, done that. I understand it. Come on out, young man. You win this class very, very handedly. This heifer, obviously, you've spent a lot of time with her. This isn't your first time showing her. You get her stuck. You get her presented exactly how she needs to be. We're just going to, we can fine-tune a few little things about how you handle your stick, but other than that, you do an exceptional job. Certainly has a tremendous future ahead of him. Young man that comes out in second, he gets here based on how well he gets his heifer set up. I like how he offsets her. She looks her best 80% of the time. So I'm very, very proud of him. He maintains his eye contact really nicely. I think he falls into that second position very handedly. Young lady that comes out in third, she also does a really good job maintaining eye contact with me. That's where she excels the remainder of the class. She knows where I am at all times. There's times that heifer tends to get a little bit underneath herself, so she gets a little bit off in her hip. That's just some fine tuning to make her present this heifer to the best of her abilities. Young lady comes out next, had her hands full at times. Other times she did a really, really nice job out here. I enjoy the eye contact. I enjoy the fact that she looks like she wants to be out here and she's enjoying herself. Certainly a heifer that has a neat relationship with this female. Young man coming out next. This heifer's getting tired. We're going to get him out of the ring so he can catch his breath a little bit, right? He does a nice job. He stops showing at times, and we just need to keep showing through the whole class. We need to push through. We need to find that next gear and show until the end. We've got 4 showmen that come out here next. I'm going to visit with them individually as they come out. They're here for certain reasons, most likely. It's because they made an adjustment that I visited with them about when I went down the lineup. So we're going to go out and visit with them, give them a round of applause. Great group of junior showmen.
I think your announcer needs to catch his air too. Okay. This has been a whirlwind day, to say the least. Class 788 Junior Showmanship. Your champion for the 2020 National Western Stock Show. 1025 Easton Silva, Greeley, Colorado. Your reserve champion, 1022 Cam Gomez,
All right?
Greeley,
so
Colorado.
I want you to watch me more closely, okay?
In third, 1024 Janice Swanson, Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. Fourth, 1028 Renly Silva, Greeley, Colorado. Fifth, 1026 Sam Lab, Banner, Wyoming. Sixth, 1029 Ava Marie Millinger, Colorado Springs, Colorado. Seventh, 1023 Garrett Hall, Brighton, Colorado. Eighth, 1027 Cameron Carden from Sheridan, Wyoming. Ninth, 1031 Wyatt Hall, Brighton, Colorado. And your programs, the placings for junior showmanship are scratch, 2 in reserve, 7, 3, 1 in champion, 5, 8, 4, 6, and 9. Up next, folks, we've got exhibitors that are 13 to 17. This is Class 789 Intermediate Showmanship. And there are a lot of them. Big class. This could be the biggest class of our show today. I said that earlier, but I think this one's going to trump it. A class of 17. Let's see if Kay wants to split that into 2 heats. We'll check. She might want to split it into 2 heats. We'll see. Folks, are you enjoying the Highland show this evening here in Denver at the National Western? We're glad you're with us. I'll just be like the Wizard of Oz. Pay no heed to the guy outside that keeps telling you that the place is closing, because we still got a show going on. They're making announcements in the barn that the Hall of Education and everything's locking up, but we have a show. So we're going to do 1 heat, Kay, or 2 heats. Okay. So that means we got 2 heats, and then we'll have a intermediate showmanship showdown. That's what I like to call it. So 3 classes in this intermediate, counting that showdown. So we'll let you know what the actually we won't tell you who they are, but Kay will keep who she wants to bring back for the showdown in heat number 1. And then we will place the final showdown. Once again, our judge, Kay Kaufman from Harrodsburg, Kentucky.
Going to go ahead and pick 3 out of this class to come back for the next heat. What we're going to do is I'll pick those 3 in no particular order, and then we'll place the remainder of the class. So those 3 wait ringside, and you'll come back out of the number that we choose from the next heat so we can pick our champion intermediate showman. Everybody good? Make sense? Okay. All right, we'll get through this pretty quick. If you guys could give them a round of applause. These cattle are getting tired. I'm actually just going to talk to the individuals in an effort to expedite this, to keep everybody safe and to move on with the evening.
Up next will be the intermediate heat number 2.
We'll do the same thing that we did in the last class. I'll go ahead and pick 3 in no particular order. Those 3 will come back for your intermediate champion. So when I pick the top 3, they will come back in any order that they want to come in. There's no particular reason. We only have 4 out here. We'll visit about them really quick. Young lady that leads off in the 4th place position, I guess. I like how she positions herself around the head of that heifer. She's very smooth. I like how she strokes that heifer's brisket. There's times that she wants to get her a little stretched out when you get her over there on the profile, but other than that, she does a really nice job. Young lady in 5th does a nice job as well. I want her to turn and face that heifer a little bit more. Can you do that? Like kind of turn your body and face towards her shoulder a little bit. Not quite that far. And then when you stroke her, I want you to make like long, gentle strokes, okay? Sometimes you get a little bit over anxious with that show stick, okay? But you do a really nice job. Maybe hold her a little bit closer to her head. Close decision between these 2 young ladies. I like how you position yourself around the heifer. I like how you try to set the feet on your heifer, okay? I want you to stay erect most of the time, straight up and down, and then make sure you keep her head up a little bit better by holding her closer to her where her halter and her chain mix there. But nice job, because I know she's being a little ornery out here today. Young lady, you do a really nice job. You do a good job maintaining eye contact. What got you in the end on the profiles, you didn't move up when I pulled that heifer out. So I apologize, that's a big pet peeve of mine. If the heifer in front of you gets pulled up, make sure you pull into that spot, okay? Good job. I had a pretty good idea of who I was going to use before they came out here, so please don't think I'm not giving your kids the time that they deserve. I think this sorts itself out fairly nicely out here. This is a nice lineup of intermediate showmen. If everybody could give them a quick round of applause. They've won the marathon. This has kind of been an endurance race this evening. For me tonight, I think we have two showmen that are very, very close. They both position themselves around the head of those cattle very professionally. They're not over flamboyant in terms of their presentation. They're cool and they're calm and they're collected. They move the cattle at the right pace, and they certainly are attentive to their surroundings and give themselves enough spacing. At this age, this is where spacing becomes important. We can get away with it a little bit as younger people, but as you move into that intermediate range, we need to really pay attention to getting those cattle shown to the best of their abilities. And if that means leaving 10 feet in front of you so you can walk them if they kind of aren't set exactly right and you want to walk them into position. Today your champion showman is going to be the young lady up here with a red heifer, and your reserve showman is going to be the lady on the opposite end in the lime green shirt. Go ahead and give them a big round of applause.
So your champion intermediate showman, 1036, Ashlyn Rosea Morelli, Elverson, Pennsylvania. And your reserve champion intermediate showman is 1042, Riley McConnell from Ballatin, Minnesota. How about a hand for these intermediate exhibitors as they exit the arena? Up next, Class 790, Senior Showmanship, exhibitors 18 to 21. We have 35 in this class. What? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
This is not a time to joke.
We have 5.
This is not a time to joke.
So drop the 30 and we have 5. There we go. Hey, we got to have a little fun, right? It's like 8:30, 4. So 5 entries coming in, Senior Showmanship Class 790, exhibitors 18 to 21. We'll also be picking the Senior Showmanship Division Champion Reserve and be placing the top 5. After this, we're going to bring back our champions from each division. They will show head-to-head for the Supreme Showmanship Champion selection. And after that, we have group classes. Best pair of heifers, best pair of bulls, best 3 head. So that's what's ahead on our show this evening. Before we hit the pause button and come back tomorrow morning at 8 with the bagpipes to lead things off on our open show. Let's go back to that intermediate showmanship. I told you about the champ reserve. Here were the rest of the placings. Third place in the showmanship was Alexis Washburn, 1043. Fourth, 1044, Caitlin Edwards. Fifth, 1037, Thomas Morelli III. Sixth, 1049, Mitchell Hefner. Just want to make sure we got the records right for the stock show entry. Once again, this is senior showmanship, class 790, exhibitors 18 to 21. 18 to 21. Pick our champ reserve and third, fourth, and fifth. Then we'll have supreme showmanship. That's the champion from each of our divisions going head to head for bragging rights.
We have a nice class of senior showmen out here today. I think the young lady that leads off does it pretty handedly. Her partner's wanting to cooperate, plus she's a good showman. So that combination has made her pretty unbeatable out here today. She does a nice job maintaining eye contact. She's one of the two individuals walking away from me that actually paid attention and turned around to see where I was at. So kudos for that. Does a nice job how she positions herself around that heifer. She's now she's giving her a hard time. I shouldn't have said anything. She had done well until this point. I like the spacing that she keeps between her and that heifer, and when she gets out and moves, she handles her very nicely. Very, very close placing between second and third, and you can go either way depending on the moment. The gray heifer was set up a higher percentage of the time. And in the profile, I got to get a better look at her simply because she was there. And I also like how you keep your composure, even when that heifer does start to act up a little bit. Nothing seems to faze you. You just kind of go with the flow, and just like that, and don't skip a beat. Young lady comes out next, no doubt in my mind. She's a very good showman. This heifer's had it for the night. I like how you hold your halter. I like the fact that you were the other one in the class that actually looked back and made eye contact as you're going away from me. Young ladies that come out in fourth and fifth, we just need to work a little bit on getting those cattle set up to show them off the best of their ability. We need to make sure that they're offset on the profile, maybe loin them from time to time to extend them out of their hip. Just little things to give us a little bit better look at those cattle. You two do a really nice job.
Thank you, Kay. Here's results on the senior showmanship, class 790. Your champion for the 2020 National Western, 1054, Paige Proctor, Junction City, Wisconsin. Your reserve, 1050, Kiowa Goebel, Penrose, Colorado. Third, 1053, Lindsay Eldred, Bellingham, Washington. Fourth, 1051, Alexis Engel, Florence, Colorado. Fifth, 1052, Taylor Martin, Guffey, Colorado. As I mentioned, your champions from the junior, intermediate, and senior division will be back in the ring. This is for supreme showmanship. Bragging rights. After this, we have 3 group classes: best pair of heifers, best pair of bulls, best 3 head.
We go ahead and pick your Supreme Showman. These are three really nice showmen out here. They've done a nice job. They've been respectable throughout the show today. It's obvious that they've been in the show ring several times. They've worked with these cattle quite a bit. And I just commend you guys for coming out here. You could have easily said, no, I'm not doing showmanship tonight, or fought with mom and dad that you had to do it, which you may have done, but I don't know that. You're out here and you're giving it everything you got. Showmanship obviously means something to you. I know it means a lot to my kids. It's the one place, no matter how off your heifer looks or how bad a day you're having, you can always redeem yourself. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and use the young lady straight ahead in front of me as your Supreme Showman today. She's just chill. I mean, she's calm and she's cool and she's collected, ultra professional. I told her I don't mind that she has her Twisted X's on out here. Maybe a lesson in the future. There is some judges that might give you a hard time about it. I'm good with it. You do a nice job. You get your heifer shown. That's what's important.
So your Supreme Showmanship champion for the 2020 National Western comes from the Intermediate Division, 1036 Ashland Rosea Borelli, Elverson, Pennsylvania.
Thank you.
Up next, folks, we coming to the close of our show. We have three group classes: best pair of heifers, best pair of bulls, best three head. I want to thank our judge once again, Kay Kaufman from Harrodsburg, Kentucky. Graduate of Colorado State University. She currently works in the animal health sector in the veterinary software industry, as well as owning Agra Exposure LLC, a full-service promotion company with her husband Jeff and daughters Julia and Anna. She grew up on a registered Hereford cattle and purebred sheep operation in central Maine. She was active in 4-H and junior organizations prior to going to CSU, where she was a member of the wool, dairy, livestock, and meat animal evaluation teams. Kay Kaufman, Harrodsburg, Kentucky. Pleasure working with you this evening, Kay. Wish you and your family all the best. As we come to our group classes, and once again tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock sharp, we will start with two shows, but we lead things off like 15 minutes ahead of time, so at 7:45, be here early. The Denver Bagpipe Band will be here, Denver District Bagpipe Band. We'll kick things off with a set of bagpipe music to lead off the National Highland Show at 8 a.m., and then the Miniature Hereford World Show will be on my right. So that's all tomorrow morning. It'll be a busy day tomorrow here at the stock show, because tomorrow evening at 6:30 we've got the auction of junior livestock champions. We picked the final junior champion this evening in the market steer show at 5 o'clock. And I think that's on 9 News tomorrow night at 6:30. And if you didn't hear, we did have a Colorado kid, young lady. She won the Market Hog contest. Allie Stromberger from Logan County on the Market Hog Championship. That hasn't happened in quite a while. So that's 6:30 tomorrow night, auction of junior livestock champions in the junior show. So our first group class should be best pair of heifers, I believe. We'll get some placings on those in just a few moments. After that, best pair of bulls, and then best three head. Once again, as we round out our show tonight with these group classes, I want to thank our stadium arena sponsors, the Colorado Farm Show, Big Bubba's, John Deere, Saunders Construction. We appreciate their support of all the livestock shows here at the National Western.
We've got 4 nice pairs out here in the heifer division. Cattle that, if you look at them quick, you're like, oh, they don't match up because they're different sizes or different colors. But actually, when you study their skeletons and you study the type of cattle that they are, they're equivalent stock. And they have a lot of the same structures. They have a lot of the same positives and a lot of the same flaws. With that being said, we're going to go ahead, and this will be your first place pair right here on my far left. Our second place pair will be here on my far right. And then it gets a little bit closer for third and fourth. I prefer the black pair over the mixed dun and smoke pair right in front of me. So that'll be your top 4. Congratulations. Thank you for bringing them out here tonight.
Here's the results on best pair of heifers. First place, Seawind Meadows LLC, Dennis, Massachusetts. Second is a ride-in your programs, Hanson Ranch, Elizabeth, Colorado. Third is Holy Cross Ranch, Wheatland, Wyoming. Fourth, Cheesehead Highlands, Burlington, Wisconsin. By the way, your champion on the best pair of heifers, Seawind Meadows LLC from Dennis, Massachusetts, gets a banner sponsored by Flatland Farm LLC. Up next, we have best pair of bulls. A banner on the line, 4T Acres LLC. 2 entries coming in. I'm going to switch back. We've got a single entry in the pair of bulls class. Go ahead and give them a round of applause. Bring a mature bull out this time of night. I commend you. I'm sure he's just wanting to chill out and
hang out and do what mature bulls do. Nice set of bulls. I really like the dark red bull on the end. You're good. They're done.
Okay, now that's amazing.
I'm going to be like Hadley Bear, start announcing in the rings. Up next will be best 3 head. Here's results on best pair of bulls. First place and champion is Spring Creek Highlands from Bellingham, Washington. They get a champion banner sponsored by 4T Acres LLC. We have 2 entries coming in for best 3 head. Champion banner on the line, 4T Acres LLC. This will be our final class, group class of the evening, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning after this class. But thanks once again to Kay Kaufman. Great job. Appreciate her work tonight. How about a hand for our judge, folks, for those of you that are still here. Thank you very much.
Nice way to round out the evening with a representation of breeding programs. 6 nice individuals out here. I would like to once again thank the association for having me out. Thank you to National Western for having me out. Thank you, Brian, for everything you do. Your extended Facebook friendship, I appreciate greatly. I always look forward to it. I know we don't have a big crowd. I just want to say this quick. To judge on the hill at National Western's always been on my bucket list. I exhibited here in the hill, on the yards. I interned here. I judged here in college. I worked here as a breed association. I just last year got to watch my daughter show in this. So judging on the hill was the last thing to check off the list for my involvement with National Western. So thank you for having me out to do this. This will be your first, and this will be your second. Congratulations.